a fuck what anybody else thinks about it. Let's do this. How's it going, G Freaks, the Sci-Fi Fanatics? This is Daniel, the Sci-Fi Sentry, always keeping it raw and real. And in this video, it's going to be the first time I really get into detail about Gojira slash Godzilla and how Godzilla influenced me, you know, growing up and going into elementary school, middle school, high school, adulthood. You know, it's the first time I've ever done something like this, especially for Godzilla, and really getting into detail, like strict detail about how Godzilla impacted my life. And I always love to do it just straight off the cuff because I'm not a scripter. I don't like to read off of scripts and sound like a robot. So this is just me being raw and fucking real. And I just wanted to start off with especially just growing up, and let's just get to the beginning, and that's with Ghidorah the three-headed monster. And some of the people who are subscribed to my channel and most of my friends know that the first movie I ever saw was Ghidorah the three-headed monster, and I was about 5 years old and saw that movie. It's still a little blurry from that time, but I remember seeing Mothra, Rodan, Godzilla, King Ghidorah, and it made such an impact on me that even being like 5 years old, anything that had to do with just an image of Godzilla, and especially with dinosaurs, once I got into, let's say, pre-K and then kindergarten, first grade, I was always mesmerized by dinosaurs, and dinosaurs were always a reminder of Godzilla. And Godzilla then started coming out more frequently on TV, TBS, TNT, the USA Network, from what I remember, and I was just blown away by Godzilla and all the other monsters that came out in the movies: Ibara, Gigan, Ghidorah, Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra, Kumanga, Gorosaurus, Gabara, King Caesar, Titanosaurus, Megalon, Biollante. I mean, it really just made an impact. And then as far as going into school, say from like first grade onto grade school, that was the time I was really into art. I really got into art, especially Godzilla was a big influence when it came to an artistic taste when it came to me, because I started, of course, very rough, and then I just got better at art, and Godzilla was basically just the biggest inspiration. Then I moved on to Marvel and then superhero characters, but Godzilla was always the base. And I mean, not only that, like, especially, you always have an imagination. A child has an imagination, and Godzilla wasn't totally everything, but he was basically the biggest influence, and I really just couldn't get enough of it. And then, of course, on the weekends, whatever movies my parents were able to buy for me at the time, I would just usually watch them. You know, video games, and still drawing, a lot of drawing, and then, of course, doing basic homework and everything. Was still very active, was still dealing with a lot of bullying, and bullying basically was just what really disrupted everything. And I was I was just very passive when it came to growing up as, let's say, just being in grade school, elementary. And at first I hated fighting, and then the first time somebody laid a hand on me, I just that was it. And then I was usually having to defend myself the majority, at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I got into a lot of fights, and then there were still fights outside of the classroom, in the, let's say, in the jungle gym, the bathrooms, sometimes in other classes, in the back of the school, in the bathrooms. I mean, it really disrupted everything, and I was I grew up a very angry child, but yet Godzilla was always that escape. I was always able to escape once the weekend came. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care about the kids I had to deal with. I didn't care about the teachers I didn't like, the homework and everything. I still did what I had to do, but I couldn't wait to get away from fucking everyone and just want to just lose myself in the stories, the fantasy, lose myself in just what was Godzilla and other types of entertainment, especially reading. Got into some of the comic books. Some of the comic books I got into with Marvel, but then it was always more about Godzilla. I did have the book. It was the big white and orange book that one of my aunts had. Just she had it. She gave it to me. They all started finding out I was a huge Godzilla fan, so they just gave it to me, and I just read that book, took it to school with me. I mean, I've had so many experiences with eating pizza, food, and I mean, that book was so dirty. I mean, food all over it, writings, drawings, but it was my escape. And then moving on to, let's say, middle school and high school, that's when Godzilla, I just dropped off a lot. Like, it was so easy, especially with sports, being active, learning certain martial arts, getting away from not too much of it. Godzilla's always there. Like, once I got from like eighth grade to, let's say, 11th grade, near my senior year, Godzilla was always there. But I mean, there was so much that was going on at the time. Now, getting it from middle school, I started drawing a lot more, yet still focusing on sports, and then girls, sex, drugs, smoking, partying, drinking. And then in high school, it just elevated. It got much more active, as far as going out with friends, being in basketball, wrestling, boxing, girlfriends, finding out about all kinds of other things, not just partying, not just drugs, still keeping my nose clean, but everything was just, it's like going into adulthood. And I kind of lost my way. Godzilla was always there. I was still buying, even when I was working, when I was still in high school, I still ended up buying a lot of the Heisei movies of Godzilla. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla 1985, Godzilla versus Destroyer. I mean, I had the majority of those movies. I had them all on VHS, especially when I would get off of work, and then before I would go to college, I would work, let's say, at night, and I would go to college in the morning. So, but Godzilla was always there. Sometimes I would take my days off, get away from everything, and even girls and partying, going out, I would just buy some buffalo tenders or buffalo wings, order pizza, and just watch Godzilla, all day long. I would just do that. So Godzilla was still a form of release even as I got into adulthood, but it was not as much as it was when I was, say, growing up from grade school, middle school and stuff. And I mean, and then when I got to, say, 28 years old, and I was still working, was done with already college. I was already done with all that. I hated school, so I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go back to that. So I started working again, and once it got to like 2007, 2008, I thankfully and finally got a hold of all the Godzilla movies on DVD. Like, I found all of them, and they were like almost dirt cheap. and I was so glad finally to have all of the movies on, even if they were on DVD. I had them all, and I just felt so proud, like I finally achieved something when it came to Godzilla. And I had all of them, all the Heisei, Millennium, Showa, everything. I had all of them. I even started buying comic books, and I was finally, I finally felt like I achieved something. But yet, this is when I was, say, getting into my mid 30s now, and I ended up finding a career that I never thought I was gonna do. I never thought I was gonna continue doing. I thought it was just being a trainer, working for the city, learning jiu-jitsu, boxing, and being able to get paid for that. Just getting able to be paid for what you love doing. Like, I've always loved wrestling, always loved boxing, loved MMA, Muay Thai, and being able to get as close as I can to living my dream. And I finally did it. I ended up living my dream, and then at that point, when I was doing what I loved doing, I fell off even more when it came to Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla was always there, always there. Godzilla's always there, but when it came down to living my dream and actually living it, I mean, there was nothing else that would get in the way. I would not let anything else get in the way. And Godzilla was here and there. You know, I would still buy a figure or two, and still, I was so into what I was into that I did not really think about anything else. Then Godzilla 2014 came out, and this was already towards the end of my career. I mean, end of everything. I mean, my body was falling apart, too many MRIs, couldn't do a lot of what I used to do, being older, having to accept the fact that I can no longer do what I love doing as a profession, as a job. And this is where everything got really bad. Like, I mean, depression, mood disorder, still dealing with ADHD, getting diagnosed late, seeing my psychiatrist, counselors, other doctors, having a bunch of surgeries, having a lot of physical problems. I mean, I had about so many surgeries from 2006 till 2013, even till 2020. I had a lot of surgeries. I had a lot of problems, and just overcoming that was enough mentally for me. And then still going through the depression and going through my mental health issues. And then out of nowhere, 2014 had already made an impact, and I was just, it was the start of everything. It was what like just set the fire ablaze again. Like, I'm talking about a fucking, like, just, you know, how ancient warriors would be burned, like the fire's so bright. I mean, just, that's how much it made an impact on me, and it just kept growing and growing. And from then on out, it was 2017 or 2018. I was really struggling hard. Hardly had any money. I almost sold my Godzilla movies, almost sold the figures I had, and that's how desperate I was. But then, you know, I ended up seeing Rob from E.T.N first, but I wasn't very, how do you say, religious with it. I wasn't very religious with a lot of the content creators at the time. I just knew about Rob, and then I saw that Fat Samurai guy, and especially when it was at the peak of 2019, and maybe it was like 2018 late and beginning of 2019, and it was Godzilla King of the Monsters. And then that's when I started finding out, getting more into the web, information, Wikipedia, Google, finding out, okay, they're gonna show not only Godzilla, but they're gonna show Mothra, Ghidorah, and Rodan. And everything just started changing. I mean, still, I was still in a bad place, and I had already made a YouTube channel, but I was just, I guess you could say I was mostly just a viewer. I was just, you know, looking at channels and stuff. Hence, E.T.N, and then Fat Samurai Guy, and then, you know, watching Gojira 851 and a few other inspirations that I had. But I mean, I was still drinking about a bottle of liquor like every other day. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't eating right. I was even smoking cigarettes, and I didn't. It's like I was so depressed. I was so depressed that I didn't even want to, like, just, I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't want to do anything. I mean, of course, I mean, I wasn't totally, you know, just super lazy. It's just I just got told that I can never do what I want to do anymore as a profession, and everything just piled on me. And from then on, I just totally started focusing this interest and my own style of making videos or talking about what I really enjoy, which is Godzilla, science fiction, Marvel, horror, sci-fi horror, all the stuff you always hear when you watch my channel trailer. So I stopped slowly, very slowly stopped drinking, and then started getting into better habits, and then other certain things happen, you know, later on, as far as 2019 and 2020. We all know what happened, especially with the motherfucking pandemic. So I'm just saying to myself that it was very, I was finally breaking through and doing my own thing. I was doing my own thing, and I started making a channel, and then the influences just started getting bigger, and I wanted to make my own style of channel, but I never take it seriously. Even since then, I never take it seriously. It was mostly just because I was depressed, and because I had not a lot to do, and I saw all these people doing, as content creators, saw their own styles and their own takes on reviews on Godzilla, what they thought of figures, what they thought of the films, and I just started doing it for myself. I just started really taking it upon myself and learning how to do everything alone, learning how to work a camera, learning how to use my laptop better, learning how to use a microphone and set everything right, like to focus my camera, and to learn how to upload, how to add content, how to splice videos. Everything I learned on my own, and it was enlightening, yet it was still something that was helping me cope with depression and everything. And that's how I just got into it. And Godzilla was the main driving force behind my channel, and that's why I just wanted to make this, because Godzilla was such a big influence, not only for the channel I have now, and I still don't take this channel seriously. I do it all for fun, and it's something I love doing, especially the interaction with all my friends and then people I've met on YouTube, Facebook, you know, over on the internet and Messenger and everything. And I just do this because it's a release. I get to escape reality for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hours while we do the live streams. And Godzilla was the main catalyst for me being able to become a content creator. And of course, I met a lot of fake ass freaking Godzilla fans in the Godzilla community, even people that I know that I can't stand anymore, that are just fake, you know, that just like to just talk down to other Godzilla fans and insult our intelligence. You know, sometimes people do take their channel seriously. I don't. It's all for fun, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I do this because it's a huge release and it's fun, and I never take it seriously. And that's really what I just wanted to talk about. And yes, Godzilla / Gojira was a huge influence on my life growing up, and even to this day. Because I mean, if I were to go through every single detail of my life, this would be like a fucking 3 or 4 hour video. And I just really wanted to keep it raw and keep it just straight fucking forward. And this is really how I just wanted to make this kind of first in-depth conversation and video on Godzilla slash Gojira and how he influenced me, how he was a driving force, how he helped with creativity in my life, even learning instruments, drawing, being good at art, you know, even making my own comic books. I mean, that's how much of an influence Godzilla has, and even to this day had on me growing up. So that's what I wanted to say, G Freaks and Sci-Fi Fanatics. I hate to make my videos long. This is already pushing 20 minutes, so yeah, I just really like to just do these videos, especially when it pertains to Godzilla, because it's a huge release. And I still deal with mental health issues, but it's still one of the best ways for me to cope and to just move forward, especially with everything that has happened, not only with the pandemic, but all the losses I've had, and, you know, old friends that I had to, you know, just freaking kick the fuck out of my life, and then all these new friends that I've just made. And I just really wanted to thank everybody who has supported my channel, my subscribers, the new friends I made, and all the people from the Godzilla community that are real and that are not fake, you know. And I want to just thank all of you guys, especially for the support for my channel and everything that I do. Even though it's not much, I just do it because I love doing it. And I just want to thank you all for joining me on this journey. And you know what, I'm just gonna leave it at that, guys. So I just like to thank you all for watching. This was my video on how Gojira influenced me throughout my whole life until now, until becoming a content creator. So this is Daniel, the Sci-Fi Sentry. I hope you all have a great day. If you guys want to, like, share, comment, subscribe. This is Daniel, always keeping it raw and fucking real. So I'm out.